Okay, number 1, evaluate 7m plus 3mn when m is equal to 8 and n is equal to 14. So you have to plug the values in. So we're going to go 7m is 8 plus 3 times m is 8 and n is 14. In reality, you could just plug that all into the calculator if you want to, or work it out in pieces, but the calculator can handle it. And whether you're using the graphing calculator or the multi-view, it does have parentheses, so you don't have to show work. It's going to be multiple choice on the real test. Did you guys get 392? Any questions about that? Okay, number 2, simplify. 675 divided by parentheses 6 plus 9 divided by 3 close parentheses. So if you were doing this by hand, you would do PEMDAS. So you would do what's inside the parentheses first. And within the parentheses, we have addition and we have division. So according to PEMDAS, you do the division before you do the addition. So we would say 9 divided by 3 is 3. So 6 plus 3 is 9. So we have 675 divided by 9. You can put the whole thing in the calculator, folks. The calculator does know the order of operations.
I hope it does. 75.
Did y'all get 75? Okay, number 3. The square outside the parentheses needs to be, each thing inside the parentheses needs to be raised to the second power. So 4 raised to the second power would be 16, because that does mean 4 times itself. X squared to the second power would be x to the 4th. And then y to the, y to the 3rd raised to the second power would be y to the 6th. Any questions about that? Okay, number 4, what do we want to do with that one?
Forget about it.
Forget about it? We need to FOIL it. Okay, so 3x times 4x gives me 12x squared. 3x times positive 1 is plus 3x. Negative 2 times 4x is minus 8x. And then negative 2 times positive 1 is minus 2. Our middle two terms can be combined together. They are like terms. So we have 12x squared minus 5x minus 2 would be our final answer there. Okay, number 5 might be hard to see, but all of that in the parentheses is being raised to the negative 3. So in the parentheses, we have 4xy squared. Outside the parentheses, we have a negative 3 exponent. What does the negative tell us to do? Put it to the bottom, like flip it. So this is the same thing as 1 over 4xy squared to the 3rd power. So all the negative exponent does is make you flip it to the bottom of the fraction. So now we need to take everything to the 3rd power that's inside the parentheses. So 4 to the 3rd power would be what? Please don't tell me 64. Very good. Because you're doing 4 times 4 is 16, and 16 times 4 is 64. So we have 64 x to the 3rd power and y to the 6th power. Okay, on number 6, what are we going to do? You're going to FOIL again? So you're going to do,
like a trick, though,
kind of, since it's plus and minus, isn't that middle term going to cancel out? But even if you don't know, it's not going to hurt you to FOIL it. So x times x is x squared. X times positive 4 is plus 4x. Negative 4 times x is minus 4x. And then negative 4 times positive 4 is minus 16. The middle two terms do cancel each other out because you have a plus 4 and a minus 4, which is 0. So your final answer is just x squared minus 16. That only works if one of your signs is positive and the other one is negative.
Are we done already?
Yes, we're completely done with it.
Are we done?
Stupid.
Number 7, what is the equation that best represents the following word problem, in terms of B? So we want to write an equation for this scenario, but we only want to use B as the variable. In a certain freshman class, the number of girls is 83 less than twice the number of boys B. The total number of students in that freshman class is 259. how many boys and girls are in that class? So what expression would we set up to be able to answer the question? You're not actually going to have to answer the question on the real test. They're going to give you answer choices that look like equations, and they're going to say which one of these matches this scenario. But it's got to be in terms of B, so we should be using B's and G's. So how could I write this? What's that? 2B minus 83. Do we agree with that so far? Is it equal to 259? Isn't that just the girls? So wouldn't we have to add a B in?
That's just the total number of students. That is.
But 2B minus 83 is just the girls. So we have girls plus boys are 259. So couldn't you just add a B is what I'm saying? Does that make sense? And then if we made it more simplified, it would be 3B minus 83 equals 259. And that could be used to solve for the number of boys, and then you can plug it back in to find the number of girls. You're not going to have to do all that, though. Okay. Number 8 looks a lot like one of your daily check problems, doesn't it? Kind of.
No, it's not.
It's not. Why is this a lot harder?
The other one factored
It's
into it.
ugly.
It's ugly.
That doesn't factor into it.
Okay, so I was hoping we could just divide everything by 2 or divide everything by 3, but that's not going to happen. They don't have a common factor. So how do you guys attack a problem like this?
13 doesn't multiply this.
I'll do my way. We'll see if you can handle this. This is what I do. I multiply the 6 to the end. I know, I'm with you. So we have x squared minus 13x minus 30. And then I say what multiplies to negative 30, that adds to negative 13. 15 and 2 works.
Wait. 6 just equals.
Are you stupid?
No.
Do you see it now?
Wait, 6 just.
No, we're coming back with the 6 in just a second, but do you get the negative 15 and the positive 2?
Good.
Okay, we're cool with that. So now we have whatever you multiply in the beginning, you have to bring it back. And here's how you bring it back. You put that 6 back under each of your numbers. And then we're almost there. You have 2 more steps. You have to simplify the fractions. What do I mean by that? 15. No. Don't make it a mixed number. 15 over 6 can both be divided by 3. So wouldn't that become 5 over 2?
Yes.
Okay. So this is going to be x minus 5 over 2. And then 2/3, what is that simplified to? 1/3. Here's the last step. Whatever denominator you have, put it in front of the x. So that leaves me with 2x minus 5 and 3x plus 1. That's the final answer.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. So I'll put the 2 and 3 in the 5.
Good job, Blake.
What if we left it like in fractions?
Nope, you got to have it like this.
But is it wrong in fractions?
Nope, you got to leave it like this.
It's not wrong.
I'm going to mark it wrong. And actually, it's multiple choice, so none of the answer choices are going to be in fraction format.
Simplify all of those.
Okay, we're going to simplify all of those. I'm not going to tell you what the real question is on the test, but it'll say something like, which of these might be a whole number or whatever. I'm not going to tell you what they asked. So it's not, yes, it's going to give you all of them. I just made up a question. That's not really what the question says on the test. Okay, so simplify each one of these. What's negative 5 plus 9? Positive 4. Okay, what is negative 9 plus 5? Negative 4. What's 9 plus 5?
What?
What's 5? Okay, for D, we do it from left to right. So we go 5 plus negative 9 is negative 4. Do we agree?
0.
And negative 4 plus 4 is 0. And then last but not least, 9 minus negative 5 becomes 9 plus 5. So it's 14. So they're going to ask you some questions about those, and I'm sure you'll get it.
And you said they're not changing any of
I'm not changing any of the values. These will be the exact values on the test. However, again, you cannot use notes. So you have to know how to do these. I'm going to put this video that we're making right now online.
So we're gonna find it on YouTube?
Yes, sir.
Wait, really? On YouTube?
But I'll link it on the class log.
That could be like what? Dragon Slayer 232?
Number 10, are we there? Solve this system of equations. What would you do with this?
Substitution.
Cameron likes substitution. I like elimination. You can do it either way.
2x plus 2y, you know.
So multiply them all by 2. Can I do that?
Y is equal to 2. I already do that. Wait, is there two solutions?
2x minus 4y.
The reason I'm doing that is because I want the y's to cancel out. Like none of my coefficients matched up. But I noticed that if I multiply the bottom equation by 2, then I'm going to have a positive 4 and a negative 4, and won't that cancel out? Do you see it?
In system of equations, is there always 2 answers?
Yes, we need an x and a y. 3x plus 2x is 5x. And then 11 minus 6 is 5, so x must be 1. And then you can just plug it back into your original equation. So we have 1 minus 2y equals negative 3. Subtract 1 from both sides. So we have negative 2y equals negative 4. Divide both sides by negative 2, so y equals positive 2. So the solution we would be looking for would be 1, 2, right? X is 1 and y is 2. Number 11, we need to factor that. Any ideas what to do here? It is perfect squares. Do y'all see what he's talking about? 25x squared, the square root of that would be 5x. And then 16y squared, the square root of that is 4y. So if we just did 5x minus 4y, and we multiplied it times 5x plus 4y, wouldn't we get this back? Because the middle terms are going to cancel each other out. You're going to have a 20xy and a negative 20xy.
Say there's a plus.
Then you can't factor it, actually. It's already as factors as it can be if it's a plus without a middle term.
So you won't give us a plus.
That's going to be the exact problem on the test.
Oh, that. I'm walking with that.
Are we okay with that? Number 12.
Well, class it. Oh, can you go back? Okay. Can you go back?
Moving on.
No. Yes.
No.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. On to number 12. Solve. 2x squared plus 5x minus 3 equals 0. How would we solve this?
Oh, get rid of the 2.
We can't.
Oh, never mind. Add 3.
No.
Yeah,
2
yeah.
times 3. Yeah. And then x squared plus 5x minus 6.
Do y'all remember a little friend named quadratic formula?
Dude, we're not using that.
Why not?
Too much.
What would you do then if you
Why
don't
can't
want to
you do
use
2
quadratic
times-
formula?
Why can't you do 2 times 3 and then minus
Do our
6?
little trick that we did earlier. You can do that.
What I just said.
Quadratic formula is easier, but okay, let's practice
You don't know that.
factoring. It really is, but that's fine. So we have x squared plus 5x minus 6. And then what does that factor to?
2, 5, 3, 1.
It's x plus 3 and x minus 1.
Isn't it x plus 6 and x minus 1?
Yes, it is. And it will be difficult. Yes.
Difficult. Wait, why are you?
It would have to be.
Why are you taking out the 2? You could just do it with 2 and just guess. Check.
Oh, no. We're not going to guess and check.
Then it's-
You can if you want, but I'm not going to.
Divide by 2.
Am I okay, those of you with me? Okay. Bring the 2 back. Bring the 2 back.
2x
Yes,
minus
yes.
1.
See, that's where I was.
And then simplify.
X plus 3, 2x minus 1.
Everyone stay doubting on me.
And so this gives you x plus 3 equals 0. Subtract 3 from both sides gives you negative 3. Agree? Because it says solve. It doesn't say just factor. And then we're going to move the 1 to the other side. So we have 2. Well, let me write it. 2x minus 1 equals 0. So 2x equals 1. And then divide by 2. So x is 1/2. So we have 2 solutions, negative 3 and 1/2.
He's a. Okay, wait. So did you multiply the top by 4 then? You cancel your y's?
But, okay, when you do the 4 into 2 to the 10th, I mean,
Times the 3 as well. Equals 40. Are we on to number 13? Can I erase 12? Can I erase 12, really? Thank you. Okay, so y'all are already doing elimination from what I heard. So I heard you guys saying y'all are multiplying the top by 4, which is giving us 12x plus 4y equals 40. And then x minus 4y equals -1. We can add those equations together and the y's cancel out. So we have 13x equals 39, so x equals 3. But they wanted to know what y was. So we use the x, plug it back in, and get our y. So we have 3 minus 4y equals -1. We're going to subtract 3 on both sides. And so -4y equals -4. Divide both sides by -4, so y is +1.
Oh, no.
Not like in 13? 15.
That's way too much.
Can we do 14 first?
Times 3, right?
Let's get rid of the 28 before we multiply by 3. Can I erase 13? People still using it. I can probably do this without having to erase. Okay, 14, first step is going to be to subtract 28 from both sides. So I have 1/3 y equals negative, is that 33? Is that right? Okay, and then we would need to multiply both sides by 3 to get rid of the 1/3. And so I have y is equal to -99.
Indeed, yes, you're right. I agree. 15 is actually not that hard.
False alarm. What's our first step on number 15? Distribute is correct. What are we distributing? The negative. And it's actually a -1, isn't it? So we're going to say 3x plus 17 minus 5x equals 12 minus 6x minus 3, because that minus sign has to go to both things. Now we combine like terms. That's what you were looking for, the words. Combine like terms. So 3x and minus 5x are going to go together, and then a 12 and a -3 can go together. So 3x minus 5x is -2x. So we have -2x plus 17 equals -6x plus 9. Is that right?
Yeah.
Because 12 minus 3 is 9. So I personally, at that point, would add 6x to both sides. So then you end up with 4x plus 17 equals 9. Do we agree? Because -2x plus 6x is 4x. And then we're going to subtract 17 from both sides. So we have 4x equals, what is that, -8? Is it -8, guys? Okay. And then divide both sides by 4. So x equals -2. Are we all good with 15 before we move on to 16? Okay. You and 3 friends are eating a pizza with 12 pieces. Each person eats the same number of pieces. Let x represent the number of pieces each person eats. So write an equation that is an algebraic model for the situation. So write an equation where you would solve for x. 4x equals 12?
4x, you and 3 friends.
So isn't it 3x equals 12 to figure out that x is 4? Is it?
4x because
It's you and 3 friends. Isn't
Oh,
that 4 people?
Yeah.
very good. Sorry.
No, I didn't even see that. Good catch, Alec.
Thank you.
that's kind of like that.
The answer choices are going to look like that, actually. Yep.
Like that?
Yep. So it's not actually going to be solved for. It's going to give you some setups, and you have to pick the one that matches the scenario.
Well,
Foil? I'm glad he said foil. So you're not just going to square both things. You actually have to take 3x plus 4 and multiply it by 3x plus 4. So I always tell my, when I used to get to teach algebra, tell my students, just write it twice so that you'll remember. Because you know what you guys try to do. You try to say it's 9x squared plus 16. And it's not true. You've got to have that middle term as well. So 3x times 3x is 9x squared. 3x times 4 is 12x. 4 times 3x is 12x. And then 4 times 4 is 16. We want to combine the middle two terms together. So we have 9x squared plus 24x plus 16. What's easy?
That's easy.
Which one? 17? 18 is not going to be bad at all. Are y'all trying to like distribute it all out and foil? No, it's already factored. So you just want to take each piece and set each piece equal to 0. It's actually way easier than what y'all are trying to do with it. So we have 3 answers here. We have 3x equals 0 we need to solve. We have x minus 4 equals 0 that we need to solve. And 3x plus 5 equals 0. Isn't that easy?
Divide by 0.
Divide by 3. So x is equal to 0. Add 4. So x is equal to 4. Subtract 5. So 3x equals negative 5. Divide by 3. So x equals negative 5/3. That's not bad at all. Yes, you were. Any questions? We can set it equal to 0. You ready to do that? You don't like this one? So I have 3x squared plus 11x minus 4 equals 0. Can we do our little trick? Multiply the 3 to the end. So I have x squared plus 11x minus 12 equals 0. X plus 12 and x minus 1. Bring the 3 back. And so we have x plus 4 when we simplify it. And then 3x minus 1. And set each one equal to 0, and you have your answers. So we have x plus 4 equals 0, which gives us negative 4. And then we have 3x minus 1 equals 0, so 3x equals 1. Divide by 3, so x equals 1/3. So negative 4 and 1/3 would be the 2 answers. And all that's for number 19. We haven't touched 20 yet. No, but I want to erase to make room. It's getting kind of jumbled up, I think. Everybody good with 19? Okay, we're on number 20. The 3 that's outside the first set of parentheses, everything inside of there needs to be raised to the 3rd power. So 3 to the 3rd power is what? 27. And then c to the 3rd power, and then d to the 18th. Wow. Okay, and then everything inside of the second set needs to be raised to the 4th. So it's really just c to the 4th and d to the 4th. So now what's the rule? Add your exponents that have the same variable. So the 27 is just going to be outside the answer, whatever, just the coefficient. C cubed times c to the 4th is actually c to the 7th. And then d to the 18th times d to the 4th is d to the 22. So that would be your final answer. 27, c to the 7th, d to the 22. Okay, 21, the first thing I would do is try to get rid of the parentheses. So what would I do to do that? I want to get, 21, I want to get rid of the parentheses. But before we do that, distribute the negative is the first thing you want to do. So we have 4c to the 4th plus 1 minus 7c to the 3rd plus 3, because you have minus times minus, and then plus 2c to the 4th plus 5c to the 3rd. So you want to combine like terms, so anything to the 4th power can go together, and then anything to the 3rd power can go together, and then the constants can go together.
Always
So 4c to the fourth is going to go with 2c to the fourth, so that's 6c to the fourth. Everybody okay with that?
You're just adding a like
Combining like terms.
minus.
So negative 7c to the third and positive 5c to the third would be minus 2c to the third. And then we have a positive 1 and a positive 3, so that gives us a plus 4 on the end. Okay, the number 10 is raised to a power between 0 and 1. So our answer is going to be somewhere between 10 to the 0 and 10 to the 1. So what is 10 to the 0? 1. And what's 10 to the 1? So our answer is going to be somewhere between 1 and 10. Which of the following is the least? This is the exact question on the test because I didn't know how to rewrite it to not give the answer choices away. So I personally would just put these all in decimal format and then compare it like that. So 1/4 would be, what is a decimal?
No, I think it's E. No, I think it's B.
Okay, what's 3/8 as a decimal?
Yeah, it's E.
And 2/11 says, what is a decimal?
Well, 18.
22 was
I mean,
21
11%. Yeah.
And then 11% is 0.11. So which of the following is the least? Do y'all agree it's E?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So we all get 1 right on the test, right? Woo-hoo. Please don't miss it.
Don't miss a dollar.
How much left? Is that it? Dude, did you not see the freaking page? Oh,
Negative.
Wait, didn't you say the 100?
50 questions. Total 50 questions. You want to do them all today?
No.
I thought we'd do 25 today and 25 on Wednesday and test on Friday. Okay, if x is equal to 2
Negative 2 times.
and y is equal to negative 3, then negative x times y squared is equal to what? Okay,
18.
it's going to be, is that negative being raised to the second power?
No.
Yes.
No. Is the x being raised to the second power? No. Only the y goes to the second power because there's not parentheses around it. Okay?
I hate that.
I'm sorry. So we have negative 2
If you do it negative twice.
and negative 3 is being raised to the second power because we're taking, but I was saying the negative in the very front's not being raised is what I wanted to point out to you. But y is negative 3. So I'm putting that in parentheses because that whole thing needs to be raised to the second power. So then I'm going to say negative 3 to the second power is positive 9. So we really have negative 2 times positive 9. So that's going to be negative 18.
I thought we were talking about something. Is it like if the power is inside the parentheses, it's different than the power outside the parentheses? Are you gonna?
If it's outside the parentheses, then everything in the parentheses needs to be raised to that power.
The 3, right? The negative stays.
What is the distance between A and B on the number line? Where do you think B is at?
8.
Let's go fat negative 5.
And that's a.
You think it's negative 5?
5. Yeah, negative 5.
Because like negative 6 would be in the middle. I could go with that. So what is the distance between A and B? So we would do negative 5 minus 8, but we would do the absolute value, right? Because distance is not supposed to be negative.
It's not.
Boom.
It's not supposed to be negative. Sorry. Allergies, absolutely. Would y'all agree it's 13 between A and B? Good job. Okay, so I hate to break your hearts, but we won't do a daily check or a quiz for this unit. We'll just do our 25 practice questions today, 25 practice questions on Wednesday, and then the test on Friday will be these exact 50 questions, no notes, with multiple choice. So we should have a bunch of stars. That's right.
These exact ones.